Welcome to the Cougar Cast here at the Kokomo Post Sports. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, and this is a place to get all the information on what's going on inside the athletic department at IUK Kokomo. And joining us at the top of today's show, he is the Assistant Athletic Director for Communications at IUK. It's Grant Patterson. Grant, welcome back.
Thanks, Jay. Good to be back in the saddle, I guess, once again.
Yeah, man, it's good to be back having you here. And it's also good to have another big event happening on campus. There's big events happening that are outside of the athletic department at IUK in the fall, but also this weekend in just a few days, IUK will be hosting the IUK Invitational once again.
Yes, second annual IUK Kokomo Volleyball Invitational. Super excited. Yes, it's a little added stress on both my plate. You'll hear from our Director of Athletics and Head Volleyball Coach Heather Hayes. Definitely a little more work hosting a tournament like this, but high-level teams coming to town to play on your home court. A fourth early season tournament against high-level teams for our volleyball program. Can't ask for much more. Now we'll give them a chance to debut on their home court ahead of the conference opener next week against SMWC. So should be a good weekend.
So what kind of competition will fans in the area be able to enjoy this weekend?
Two words immediately come to mind: high level, in all caps, for sure. I think I'm biased. Definitely think that we're the best program in the tournament. By rankings, we are for sure. We're the number 10 team in the nation. First off, as we touched on last week, that's a program best, not just for the volleyball program, but for our whole athletic department. So shout out to Coach Hayes and her staff and team for accomplishing that. But Cumberlands will come to town. That is University of the Cumberlands from Kentucky, not Tennessee. They are 16-0 and receiving votes, so they're a high-level program. IU East, which everybody should be familiar with.
You said 16-0 and receiving votes?
Yeah.
That must mean I don't care who they're playing. The level of competition in volleyball this year must be insane if they're undefeated at that level and receiving votes.
It just means that the teams they're playing haven't been as impressive, I guess, and the fact that they weren't receiving votes regular season. So you don't necessarily make that jump. We're 8-4 and we're number 10 in the nation. That shows that we've been playing high-level competition and we've been battling high-level competition. We beat previous number one, Indiana Wesleyan, lost to current number one, Northwestern, in 5 sets. So you could make the argument that we're the best team in the nation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely will be interesting to see how we stack up against that 16-0 Cumberland squad. But IU East will come to town. We obviously won't play them, considering they're a conference foe, but they'll play 2 matches Friday. Campbellsville out of Kentucky and St. Xavier will round out the field from Chicago.
So is this the only... Or are there other, that should be the better question, are there other big athletic events IUK hosts throughout the calendar year?
I mean, I would definitely argue that like conference tournament games stuff are more higher level than this, more important, but you don't know if you're going to host the conference tournament games until the end of your season or towards the end of the season. You have to earn that right here in the River States Conference. So, I mean, for sure, immediately it probably jumps out as the biggest calendar event, but I'd say it doesn't end up that way by the end of the year for sure.
So from volleyball, and I'm looking forward to getting a report from Grant next week about what the volleyball team does in that event this weekend. I know there's football on Friday, football Saturday. Many of you will not have much going on Saturday morning leading into Saturday afternoon when football starts. You can even watch football at the event if you would like. Yeah. Double duty. Definitely get out there and check out these young, talented ladies out. On the golf side, we normally don't talk golf this early, but we normally don't have a golfer win a conference award, and that happened recently. Yeah,
shout out Haley Stegeman. We've talked about her once or twice about her play 2 weeks ago at the IU East Fall Invitational. She was impressive, and this is the first River States Conference Women's Golfer of the Week award of the year. So everything up to this point, she's only played in 1 tournament, but others have played in 2. So she beat some females out that had played in multiple tournaments, but her one showing at the IU East Fall Invite was impressive enough. She finished tied for second. I believe she turned in rounds of 77 and 75, something like that. It's in the 70s for sure. She was only a couple strokes over par in each round. It was good enough to earn her River States Conference Women's Golfer of the Week honors. She's currently competing, probably done by this point, but currently competing in South Bend. They competed Sunday and Monday, or Monday and Tuesday, that is. Gosh, this fall is stressful if you can't tell. But
my man needs a nap.
Yeah, but she's a Division I bounce back. She came from Tennessee Tech, hometown of Cincinnati. She reps the 513 area code. So shout out to her coming in and making her mark early on in her NAIA collegiate career. She's a junior eligibility-wise, so she still has essentially 2 years remaining, considering we've only completed one event this year.
So from her and her performance last weekend, how did soccer do on Sunday?
Yeah, soccer struggled. I think everybody would tell you that. Maybe overlooking an opponent that had struggled early in the season but had played talented squads. Indiana Tech is a squad that came in 0-4, but they had lost to a pair of teams receiving votes and the number 7 team in the nation. So hard to be too mad. Definitely you don't want to get beat ever at home. You don't want to lose ever, period. But I think there were signs to build on at times. We were down 1-0 after a late first half goal from the Warriors of Indiana Tech. Had a penalty kick opportunity. One of the best saves I've seen in a while by Indiana Tech's goalie. She had a couple of fantastic saves. Made a save on Brooklyn Garver's penalty kick. She also made a save on a beautiful left-footed shot from Mackenzie Givens in the first half. So we had multiple opportunities, but we would end up tying the match in the 82nd minute, I believe. Liz Sandoval took the quick pass off the corner from Kelsey Hoot, and it was a beautiful strike, right-footed from Liz, and upper 90, top right 90 is what they refer to it in soccer, upper 90 in soccer, and she beat the goalie clean. And then that's when we ended poorly, and Sohaila would tell you exactly that. Give up 2 goals in the final 4 minutes, not what we were looking for. At that point, you're looking, you have a chance to win the match, but at that point, you're kind of looking to get out of there with a draw after you tie it in the 82nd minute or whatever we did. So a little disappointing of a 3-1 loss, but they'll bounce back. I think they've got a few more non-conference matches, and then we're into River State's conference play.
One thing I like about soccer is that they're just like volleyball. They're playing some tougher opponents early, even an 0-4 team in Indiana Tech who played some tough teams before playing IUK. You're playing opponents now that'll help you be successful during the conference regular season play and conference tournament as well. So how do you think, with your assessment of the team so far, what do you think they'll do when conference play starts?
That's a little bit challenging just for the sake of I just don't have the time to watch other teams in the conference. I think Rio Grande's going to be super tough as they typically are. It's normally a battle between us and Rio Grande. Now that Point Park's gone, I expect it to be us and Rio Grande near the top. I'd say we'll be in the mix for sure at the top 3. We should definitely host 1 or 2 conference tournament matches. Hopefully we host 3 conference tournament matches because that means we're playing well. But that means we earned a high seed, 1 or 2 seed. But I think we're going to be right there at the top when it comes down to it. We're playing Coach Sohaila Akavine. She's entrusting a lot of freshmen early on in their careers, and I don't think that's a bad thing. That's getting them on the field early. It'll pay off down the road, not just this year, but in the years to come. And I think it's going to pay off towards the end of this year. Once they have these a couple road conference matches under their belt, they see how physical the college game is, how much more physical it is than the high school game, and they're able to adjust, adapt, and know what it's going to take. So I think you can expect to see us in the top 3 of the conference by the end of the year. But we don't get there without the fan support. We're done playing at the Kokomo Municipal Stadium, so make sure you check us out at Northwestern High School. We'll be playing out there the rest of the year, so no reason you can't make the short trip out there either.
Still playing on turf?
Yeah, still playing on turf, so it won't be much of a difference. A little more intimate atmosphere with the bleachers being we'll be playing on their baseball field, so the bleachers are up against the netting. Should be more intimate, more of a fun atmosphere for sure.
Grant, I know that if we did not do this, one of us would either get a text or you may hear from Josh Colvin if we did not talk about the cross-country team's first race of the fall calendar season. Both the men and women don't play cross-country. You run in cross-country. I believe it was a Twilight Invitational at IWU.
Yeah.
How did they do?
Yeah, I think I haven't honestly talked to Coach Colvin about the times, but I'm sure he was a bit disappointed.
Okay.
Not many. Yeah, there were several PRs. I think there were 5 PRs on the women's side, 8 PRs on the men's side, but I think he was a little disappointed in terms of he expected to be a little bit faster. Some River State's conference foes were at the top of the leaderboard. I know on the men's side, I'm not sure where. I know East finished above us on the women's side, so we never enjoy finishing behind the Red Wolves of IU East. So definitely some work to do on the cross-country teams. And I think Jordan Fivecoat, his assistant, would tell you the exact same thing, that they can be a lot better than that. Typically a fast course, so I'm not sure. Maybe the course wasn't as fast for all the way around. Maybe it was something on our team where we just didn't have our best, and that's why it's still a long season.
It is.
Pretty much every meet this year will have a week off in between. So they don't race this weekend, they'll race next weekend. And then after that, I think there's one time where we go 2 weekends back to back. But other than that, they'll get a chance to run the conference, the meet. They'll get a chance to run the course that the conference championship meet is held on. As always, a preview meet down at Evansville. It's actually University of Evansville's course, so a bit of a cool course. Angel Mounds, they'll run the Angel Mounds Invitational against plenty of D1 foes and have a chance to see the conference course ahead of time.
You know, one thing Grant said a while ago was that Howard County in Kokomo, it's a high school sports area, high school sports town. And this weekend on Friday, it all starts off where Eastern and Taylor are both playing the annual rivalry game there. It's played at Taylor High School. And this may be the first time, I know since I've been here, I don't know how often this happens where you're getting a college event on campus on a Friday night right before a high school football game is being played, because before Eastern and Taylor battle it out on the football field, on Taylor High School's campus, the tennis team will be playing.
Yeah, and if you've ever been to Taylor High School, the tennis courts are just a stone's throw from the football field. I will say, I think this is the second time this has happened. I think 2 years ago we played a Friday night match right before the start of a football game, and it even bled into the start of that. But Jay's right. There's no reason why you can't come out. 5:30 start for our women's tennis match against Bethel. That's Bethel out of Indiana, not Bethel of Kansas or Tennessee. We're playing the local Pilots, a good squad typically, a good squad that – It'll be a battle, to say the least. Women's tennis, a bit interesting about their schedule this Friday is they're going to Division I Valpo Friday morning to play Valpo, and then they'll return home that afternoon to host Bethel at 5:30 at Taylor. So it'll be not necessarily a doubleheader, but 2 matches in one day for sure. So I'm sure everybody on the squad will get a chance to compete. With there being 2 matches in one day, that can weigh on you, especially when you're playing a doubles and a singles match in each of the matches. So they'll be tested on the road at Valpo, and then they'll come home and get tested at home on the home courts at Taylor High School by Bethel. So no reason why you can't come out at 5:30.
Not at all.
Football, I'm sure, starts at 7.
It does.
So you can get an hour and a half, hour 10 minutes in and walk over there to the football field in 5 minutes. So no reason why you can't come out. We don't charge for tennis matches, so it's a free event essentially. You're getting 2 for the price of 1 if you go to Taylor's football game and come early.
There's no reason why people should not just do both. It'll be fun. It'll be a fun atmosphere on both.
Exactly.
But Grant, not just tennis playing on Friday. I don't even know if they have any other matches this weekend, but what else is happening in athletics this week?
Yeah, so not a whole lot besides we already touched on volleyball.
Correct.
Didn't really touch on volleyball schedules, so I guess I can touch on that real quick. They will not play the first match. There's 2 time slots each day. So Friday there will be matches at 4 and 6:30. Saturday there will be matches at 10 and 12:30. So we're getting 3 matches in. We won't play the 4 o'clock time slot, but we will play Friday night at 6:30 against Campbellsville, Saturday morning at 10 against the Receiving Votes Cumberland squad. I highly recommend you come out for that match. That should be a doozy of a match. And then 12:30, we'll close out the weekend against St. Xavier. So 3 chances to watch volleyball. Soccer won't be in town this week. They will head to Michigan Wednesday night. That is to battle the Saints of Siena Heights, a stout squad that we tied last year. We drew in our match with them. Very happy with that because they're normally top high level for the WAC, the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference. So besides tennis Friday, which we talked about, they'll play 2 matches, the one at home at 5:30. Women's soccer's on the road, and then men's and women's golf will be finished up with their competition for the week by the time this airs, and volleyball Friday night. So a bit of a down week, not as much going on, but on my plate, it's a pretty big week. We've got the second annual IUK Kokomo Volleyball Invitational, so come out and support.
Last question for you. What is the cost for admission to get into the volleyball event this weekend?
Yeah, no problem. So 14 and under are free. I think that's something that not everywhere is the case.
No, not at all.
Normally it's like 8 and under, 10 and under. So 14 and under are free. And pretty much unless your kid's in high school, they're free. 15 and up, we're going to charge them as an adult. So $15 for a 2-day pass, which means you can come to all 7 matches of the tournament if you want. 1 day pass is $10. 1 day pass either gets you 4 matches on Friday or 3 matches on Saturday. So plenty of bang for your buck if you're asking me, Jay.
I really appreciate Grant Patterson coming on the show. And coming up next is something we have not done in a while. Had a coach at IUK coming on the show with Director of Athletics and head volleyball coach Heather Hayes. She's going to talk about the IUK Invite and how her team has played so far this year. As the Cougar Cast rolls on, I'd like to welcome into the show the Director of Athletics at IUK, as well as the head volleyball coach at IUK as well. It is Heather Hayes. Heather, welcome back. It's been a long time.
It has been a while. Thanks for having me back.
No problem. You are playing double duty right now, leading the volleyball team that you've been leading for over a decade, but also running the athletic department as well. How has it been juggling both responsibilities?
Well, I do enjoy it a lot, but it is very tiring. I find myself pretty sleepy and working long days and long nights and long hours, but I really enjoy it, actually.
And with this volleyball team this so early on in the year, have you had any difficulty doing both responsibilities right now?
Yeah, the fall is the busiest. I mean, the busiest time of the year, obviously, for me with preseason. And then we had to get all of our fall athletes eligible. So I had to take a bigger process in that.
Yeah.
And so this August was I actually kind of got a little Airbnb for a few days and found myself after volleyball ended just staying and working late and trying to get the athletic director, work done, getting all of our fall athletes eligible to compete. And so, yes, this month of August it was very, very busy. While it's still a busy time, it's certainly not as busy as it was in August.
So that eligibility part, I think Grant mentioned that maybe about a month ago, that's a new process I think the NAIA athletes have to go through, I think. What is that process like for an athlete when you're trying to get them eligible?
Well, for the athlete, they don't have to do any work.
Oh, well, that's easy for them.
Yes, it's all on the administrator to do. So it's just the NAIA has certain regulations academically regarding number of hours they must be enrolled in, number of hours they must pass, and a certain GPA. And so I have to go through every single athlete to be sure that they meet that requirement. And then we have a brand new platform. I have to enter all that data in for them to essentially be cleared.
That seems pretty tedious.
Yes, yeah. It's a lot of data entry.
A lot of data entry. You've also had a lot of work with the volleyball team this year, 8-4 so far this year, had a week off last week. We got a chance to watch you guys play at Indiana Wesleyan. Unfortunately, it was a loss, but it was the only loss in that event. Mm-hmm. You guys you played in 3 different events, 3 different invitationals where it's 4 matches in a short period of time. That's really grueling and hard, not only for you, but for the athletes as well. How do you think your girls have performed so far this year?
Honestly, I couldn't ask more of them.
Yeah.
We had 8 days essentially to prepare for our opening weekend where we played 4 matches in about 24 hours and against high caliber competition. Mm-hmm. If you look, Grace is now ranked in the top 25 in the country. Midland and IWU are still top 25 in the country. No one's in shape to play 4 matches in 24 hours in 8 days.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was very grueling on us. And Grace is a great volleyball team, obviously, because they're ranked in the top 25. And so we had played them right after we had beat Indiana Wesleyan with a little bit of rest. But I just think we tuckered out a little bit and didn't execute as well because we were so fatigued. On top of Grace being a good team, it's hard to perform at that level. Match in and match out and that sort of time. But I'm really pleased. We've had some injuries and some season-losing injuries that we've been kind of trying to adapt and figure out what's going to be our best lineup, moving forward. And we went into the second weekend kind of playing with different options of what that's going to look like. And so I think you saw some a good performance of 3-1. Yeah. Still, but some inconsistent play from us, I think, as we were trying to navigate who we are, with some of these changes. And then we went out to Omaha and I think figured things out, right? After that initial first match, we played again, put a different lineup together, and I think the girls seem to find something that seems to work for them and something they feel comfortable with because we played extremely well out in Omaha.
When you're trying to navigate injuries, we actually got to see, unfortunately, one of those injuries when we were there at IWU that day. When you're an athlete, you're on a team, and someone that you are close to, one of your teammates that you've been battling with for a while, goes down, it hits you a little hard, and then you realize, it's more severe than we maybe have thought it would have been. That can really mess up the morale, but it sounds like the morale of the team is not hurt at all. It may be higher than it was previously, and the girls are coming together to overcome these obstacles right now.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of emotion. I think there were an uncertainty, right?
Yeah.
Like, is she okay? Are we going to be okay, right? And I think there was a lot of that uncertainty. And I think as time, we got through a week of that uncertainty, and then heading into week 2, I think we started to find ourselves and kind of find that confidence again of, what kind of team are we going to be now with, without her on the court. And I think we're starting to find that confidence again.
One of the athletes we talked about, I know it was in the offseason, I forget exactly the last time you were here on the show. It's been actually pre-summer, I think, was Lexi Broyles. I talked about after you guys hosted that thing in the spring, where you guys actually played IWU that day as well. I talked to you about how vocal she had been and how she was stepping up and being more of a leader, not just by action, but with her words. How has her doing that impacted the team so far at this point of the season?
Sure, been very important. I mean, Lexi is someone that our team immensely respects as a person and a player, and I think her word has a lot of value. And so, she's still continuing to find herself, right, in that kind of role and navigating what that looks like. But she's done a very nice job, and she's definitely, one of the voices in our gym that our players will listen to.
Who are some other leaders that are stepping up so far this season?
Oh, sure. We have Kaylee Lyons, who's kind of a returning leader for us, who's done some really nice things for us, during her career. Probably our most vocal leader by far. One of the hardest workers in our gyms, kind of sets that precedent for everyone. And then Maggie Connell's honestly done a nice job kind of finding her way as a senior this year. She's kind of taken over all of the team organization and all the team communication and stepped up into that role to be sure no one forgets their shirts or what they're supposed to pack. And all the reminders sometimes, like she's just taking that ownership, to be that person instead of coach having to do it all the time. She has taken over that role, which helps me, a great deal. So, I certainly appreciate that. Honestly, I think the big surprise is Callie Cummings. She's a sophomore, and she has found a voice in the gym that she didn't have as a freshman. And in fact, she just won our Cougar of Character Award. So 1/3 of the team nominated her.
That's amazing.
For our team's Cougar of Character because they just see such a difference in her in trying to find her voice and being the leader in our gym, and the notes she writes to her teammates to uplift them. I think that's maybe been the surprising leader. I think we knew some of these other players would fall into some leadership roles, but I think that's been our surprise.
You're talking about Maggie, and the first thing that popped into my head is kind of like the team mom. Is that she's like making sure everything's done and even helping you in some of those aspects. It doesn't matter if it's an actual mom or someone on the team, but you need people like that to help you out during the season.
Oh, absolutely, especially with my schedule, the way it is. That's a 5 or 10 minutes, every single night that I know is kind of taken care of.
It helps you get more sleep too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think earlier, maybe I think it's been 2 weeks ago now, I think Ellie Garland won a conference award. What has her impact been on the team so far? Yeah,
we lost our libero to graduation. And so this year it was kind of going to be this competition for the libero position. And Olivia Smith was a great libero for us. So definitely big shoes to fill. And I think everyone felt a little bit of pressure, right, in filling that role. And Ellie came out opening weekend and did a really nice job. In fact, kind of a fun story. And I don't even know that I've told her this, but after we beat Midland, that was number 6 in the country, he came up to me, that coach did afterwards, and he said, "Well, I think you found your libero," and because we had talked about players we had lost to graduation and things, and so she's done a nice job, and I think it's a different role for her. I mean, she's always been a great defender, but being on the court all the time, I think also requires a certain level of leadership, if you will, on the court, leader of the backcourt, one of the few voices that's on the court all the time, right, for the team, which is really important. So I think she's got the bigger shoes, if you will, to fill, and I think she's finding her way with those. I thought she really stepped up and become more of a louder voice for us on the court, which we really needed in Omaha, and that's something I hope she continues.
Couple more things here for you today. And I had to talk to Grant about this earlier because I knew that if I pronounced this young lady's name wrong, you would correct me. And he said you would correct me. Maya Grigsby, I am amazed. Only got to see her play once so far. We'll get up there to see her more this year. The whole volleyball team is fun to watch play. The one time I saw her, I didn't think this was her freshman year. I just assumed that she had already been there, and I either missed her last year or she was a transfer. She does not appear like someone stepping on the court at this level for the very first time. how did you feel when you realized that she was going to commit to play for you? Maybe months ago.
Oh, extremely excited. What a tremendous athlete.
Yeah.
And just has great court composure. You can't really tell when she's rattled or not, right? Just kind of always looks the same, has that same demeanor. But just a tremendous athlete. I think the big surprise initially is we knew she could kind of play 6 rotations. But initially we were looking at her just for front row as a freshman and then to build her into a back row player. But and so she hadn't got a lot of practice time back there yet, but during our first scrimmage, she shined really and really stood out and IQ wise was really picking things up. We had been teaching a little quicker than we expected her to, which is tremendous. And so we were like, oh, we need to start looking at this sooner, than later. And she's one of our best passers. And I think we've only had 2 6 rotation players that also hit in my 12 years here.
Wow.
So, yes, so it's not something we do a lot, right, for sure, but she has that skill set. She is doing very well. She gets picked on a lot. I think when we were out in Omaha, the number 2 team in the country, who's currently number 1, served her 39 times. She passed the ball 39 times. And that's what you do to, key players. You try to wear them out. Someone who's going to play 6 rows, try to make them tired. You just serve at them. And she's going to continue to see that, I think, as the year goes on from teams. And especially being a freshman, I think some people will try to rattle her. But she's really we've thrown her literally to the best in the country from the get-go, and she has handled that extremely well and only continues to get better.
This weekend, I believe this is the 2nd annual, forgive me if I'm wrong, IUK Invitational, and I was looking forward to this event to talk to you about it because you were here last year for it. You're here again this year. What does it mean for IUK to host an event like this?
Yeah, it's exciting to not have to travel. That's
oh
always,
my goodness,
that's really nice.
Yes.
I think saving on some hotel rooms and things, and we've traveled 3 weekends in a row, right? And so I think just the opportunity to sleep in our own beds goes a long way. But it's exciting. I think it just shows how far the program's come, how far our athletic department has come to be able to have the facilities that are big enough to host and have that infrastructure. And I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do that for maybe some of our basketball teams, in the future as well.
Last question about this event. What can fans expect when they watch the team play this weekend?
Sure. Well, you're going to see really good volleyball. The teams that are there are all at the elite of their conference. One of the teams plays undefeated currently.
Wow.
They're 14-0, 15-0, and receiving votes for the top 25 in the country. You're going to see everyone there is a national tournament team from last year. If I remember off the top of everyone there is a national tournament team from last year. So you're going to see high quality volleyball. And I think our players are going to be really excited to play in front of their home gym, their home court for the first time.
Yeah.
There might even be a little nerves, right? I think it's one thing to do it on the road, but I think that first home game brings a little bit of butterflies and some positive anxiety. Yeah. So I think we could have maybe a little butterflies early, but I think we're really excited to put our product on the floor in front of our home crowd.
I really appreciate Heather Hayes coming on the show. She is not only the director of athletics at IUK, but she's also the head volleyball coach as well. This has been the Cougar Cast. We'll see you next time.